All right, welcome to the Imperfectly Inspirational Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bowman. We're so glad that you're tuning in this week. And, we have coming up at the beginning of the year a new 3-part series that we're going to be doing, and that's going to be Seeking, Finding, and Rejoicing. It's going to be all about the different stages that we will experience God in our lives. So I'm looking forward to that, and I encourage you to look for that coming up at the beginning of the year. But now, we are currently in the holiday season, and that is so exciting because why? Well, for me, my why is candy. I absolutely love this time of year. There's so many different types of candy, and I'm sure you like candy, but I know I do, and maybe a little too much. And over the years, I've probably trusted candy more than I should have. But I want to tell you a story. A few years ago, I learned a hard lesson. I got pranked. I kind of knew that prank candy existed, but I never thought to question it. And a friend of mine offers me this handful of jelly beans, and as trusting as I always was, I accepted it and I ate them. But what I didn't realize until it was too late was that they were the prank jelly beans. And I don't know if you've had these before, but they do come in different varieties. And I didn't just have prank jelly beans. Specifically, they gave me a handful of the vomit flavored ones. And I will tell you, it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. And if you've ever had prank candy, specifically the vomit flavored ones, you know what I'm talking about. That taste was awful. But no, needless to say, I'm a little more cautious when it comes to candy and a little more cautious of who I trust. And, if you got prankster friends or family members, you probably know what I'm talking about. And after that experience, I double check my candy and I don't look at it the same way again. But, the lesson with this candy is if we're not careful, we can make decisions that lead to nasty consequences. And sometimes things can look good on the surface, but they're not really what they seem. And that brings us into the topic today I want to talk about, and that is choices. What choices are we going to make in life? And are we going to make wise decisions that lead us down a path of blessing and wisdom? Or are we going to be fooled by something that seems good, but leaves us with a bad taste in our mouths? Now I want to dive into chapter 9 of Proverbs today. And we're going to see 2 different paths that we can take. The path of wisdom or the path of folly. And we're going to break this up into 2 different readings. I want to read wisdom first. We'll break it down, and then we'll read folly. So Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her beast. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her young woman to call from the highest places in the town. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. To him who lacks sense, she says, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have mixed. Leave your simple ways and live, and walk of the way of insight. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse, and he who reproves a wicked man incurs injury. Do not reprove a scoffer, or he will hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. For by me your days will be multiplied, and years will be added on your life. If you are wise for yourself. If you scoff, you alone will bear it. So what do we see about wisdom here? Well, we see that wisdom is well prepared. She's organized. We see that she's slaughtered her beast. She's mixed her wine. She's got her table set. She's organized and ready for this feast, and she's sending people out to invite others to come in. She sends out her messengers to call those who what? Lack understanding. We see verses 4 through 6. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. To him who lacks sense, she says, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine I've mixed. Leave your simple ways and what? Live and walk in the way of insight. But there's a catch. To truly enjoy what wisdom offers, you have to leave behind your old foolish ways. You cannot keep going down the same path and expect different results. Einstein had a saying, and I'm pretty sure it went something like this. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing and expect different results. It's not verbatim, but that's the general gist of it. And that's the same thing here. You can't keep doing the same thing and going down the wrong path and expect to be wise from it. So wisdom calls us to change, to grow, and to make better decisions. Now, in Proverbs 9, 7 through 9, the verses we're reading here, it says, go on to contrast wise people here and those who refuse correction. It says, whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse. Oh man, have you ever dealt with that? And he who reproves a wicked man accrues injury. Do not reprove a scoffer, or he will hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. So I want to ask you a question today. Have you ever tried to correct someone who doesn't want to listen? It's frustrating, right? Now, some of these people in our lives that we try to talk to, they're going to react in many different ways. Some in anger, some in denial, and even sometimes they may get a little violent because they don't want to hear it. But now on the other hand, a wise person, they welcome correction. Why? Because they know it's going to help them grow. They understand that receiving wisdom brings life and blessings. And I want to ask you this. What is the key to wisdom? What is the beginning of wisdom? Well, in verse 10, we see that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So before you can get wisdom in your life, you have to have the correct fear of the Lord. So true wisdom begins with understanding who God is, His power, His holiness, His righteousness, and understand that when we recognize that, we begin to make choices that align with His will, and that leads to life, not destruction. Now let's take a look at folly. What does folly have to offer our lives? It says, verse 13 of Proverbs 9, it says, the woman folly is loud, she is seductive and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house, she takes a seat on the highest of places of the town, calling to those who pass by, who are going straight on their way. Whoever is simple, let him turn here. And to him who lacks sense, she says, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he does not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. Now, when you think of folly, this sounds like a trip to Vegas. You got loud and inviting and all the noise and all the bright lights, right? That's why they call it Sin City, because it is folly. And if you live in Vegas, I'm sorry. But folly ultimately sounds inviting, doesn't it? It's enticing, and it calls out to everyone. It says what? Whoever's simple, let him turn in here, and stolen water sweet. Bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But it says there's a catch. It says in verse 18, we don't know that the dead are in there. Those simple people going in don't realize that this is just going to lead to nothing. See, folly offers an easy, tempting path, but in the end, it just leads to destruction. And it's going to sound sweet, but it's a lie. And the path of sin in our life, it promises pleasure and satisfaction, but in the end, what it delivers is death. I started the story of the jelly beans because, sometimes wisdom and folly, they can look the same on the surface. And just like those jelly beans, had I paid closer attention, maybe smelled them or looked at them a little bit closer, I would have realized I was being tricked. But the same things happen in life. We could easily get caught up in something that looks good at first, and we didn't take the time to look at it or check it out, and in the end, what happens? It ends up hurting us. But if we could take a moment to look closely, if we could take that time to seek wisdom, to pray, and ask God for guidance, we can avoid the pitfalls of folly. Now, wisdom offers a feast, a lasting reward, and folly offers only temporary pleasure, with a high cost, friend, that we might not see until it's too late. Now, if you choose the path of wisdom, understand that you're choosing a life that's protected, guided, and blessed by God. Now, you're not going to avoid all the hardships of life, but you're going to have God with you through it. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd rather face a storm in a boat with a raincoat and be protected than to be caught out in the middle of it with nothing. But here's the good news. It's not too late. Understand that wherever you are in life, you can choose to follow the way of wisdom. You can still make the choice to seek God, to get closer to Him, and to walk in His ways. Wisdom is calling out to you. What does it say wisdom does? She's got her people out on the highest parts of town, calling out. It is offering life, peace, and fulfillment. Don't be fooled by the deceptive promises of folly. Sin's always going to promise something sweet, but in the end, it is going to leave you with emptiness. Choose wisdom. Choose God. And I can guarantee you that your life will change. And you know, friends, I made this message to encourage you to make wise decisions. My goal and my hope for every one of you is that you get to live a life full of meaning, a life that's full of purpose and joy, not one that's filled with regret. And if you've been walking down the wrong path, it is not too late to turn around. Understand that God is waiting for you, ready to guide you with His wisdom. So I encourage you to take that step today. Seek His wisdom, read His word, and let Him lead you into a better, more fulfilling life. The choice is yours, though. Will you choose wisdom, or will you choose to be led astray by folly? Friend, I encourage you to choose wisely. And you know, that's all I have for this week's episode. If you liked what you heard, and maybe you have a friend or a family member that is going through something in life right now, and this message would benefit them, there's no better gift than the free gift of the Word of God. And also, if you did like what you heard, drop a comment and let us know what you thought about it. Follow and like us on whatever platform you're on, so this way you don't miss the newest episodes each and every week. And friends, I hope you know I love each and every one of you, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week.